Good afternoon, students. Myself, Dr. Gloria Naik, Assistant Professor in D.Y. Patil College of Physiotherapy. Today we learn about physical fitness testing, which is very important for your syllabus as well as for the treating patients. So let's see about the contents, what you are expected to learn in this session. So you need to learn about the introduction of physical fitness, the fitness pyramid, why fitness testing is important, and benefits of fitness training, selection of testing and classification of testing. Okay, so let us start. Before starting with the physical fitness, let us learn important terms, that is physical activity and exercise. So as physical fitness, physical activity and exercise can be used interchangeably. Maybe you will get confused between these terms, so let's clarify these basic terms. So first we'll go ahead with the physical activity. So physical activity and exercise are often used interchangeably, but these terms are not synonyms, that is, they are not a similar word. So let us learn about what is physical activity. So physical activity is defined as any bodily movement produced by the contraction of a skeletal muscle that results in substantial increase in caloric requirements over resting energy expenditure. That is, while resting also there is some amount of energy expenditure required, and as well as for the activity. So the amount of energy expenditure required more than the resting level is called as physical activity. So let us know about exercise. What is exercise? It is a type of physical fitness. It is a type of physical activity consisting of planned, structured and repetitive bodily movement. Okay, so done to improve or maintain one or more components of physical fitness. That is, exercise has some goal to achieve. That is, an adult or an individual wants to improve or maintain one or more components of the physical fitness. We'll learn about this in detail. So are you students, are you clear about physical activity and exercise? Okay, we'll go to the next slide now. So the introduction to the physical fitness. So what is physical fitness? Let us see the definition. Physical fitness can be defined as the ability to carry out daily tasks with vigor and alertness without undue fatigue and with ample energy to enjoy leisure time pursuits and meet unforeseen emergencies. What does that mean? Is physically fit person, what will happen to that person whenever they are doing a physical activity? It will be with the alertness, it will be with the strength. And after doing the normal physical activity, they will still have some amount of energy left for any kind of emergencies or any kind of other activities. Okay, so let us know about what is fitness now. So fitness is defined as state of good health or physical condition. Okay, so fitness is a state of good health or physical condition primarily as a result of exercise and proper nutrition. So fitness does not occur only due to the nutrition or only due to the exercise. It is the combination of both. An adult or individual needs to do exercise as well as maintain a proper nutrition. Okay, so physical fitness is composed of various elements that can be further grouped into health related and skill related components. Okay, so these two components we will see in detail in this session. Okay, now we will go ahead with the fitness pyramid. So as students, you can see this pyramid. There are 4 kinds of individuals you can see here. That is, the pyramid's lowest is health seeker, then the active adult, health seeker, active adult, recreational athlete and elite athlete. Now let's understand what this means. Okay, so health seeker, that is any individual who has a motivation to improve their physical fitness, who has a motivation to improve the physical activity or with the exercise, that is health seeker. The person can be with the disease or without the disease, it is called as health seeker. Okay, now let's go to the next one, that is active adult. When the adult is actively doing any of his physical activity or everything else which is required in a day independently and living among its peers is called as active adult. Okay. So what about recreational athlete? That is a group of individuals who are involved in any kind of sports, but they do not do practice every day. Okay, they only participate in any kind of activities or sports and they do not practice every day. That is recreational athlete. Now let's go to the elite athlete. That is, in this the person is sportsman. The person is having competition, is doing competition with other sports players. So they will win the highest form of physical fitness. So why physical fitness is important? Let us see. Fitness testing attempts to measure individual components of components, as we have seen in the previous slide, the health related and skill related, with the ultimate aim of analyzing and maximizing the athlete's ability in each component. So physical fitness means each and every component should be at the optimal level, okay, at the optimal performance. So through fitness testing, the factors involving physiological process can be measured and improved. So the factors which are for the physiological process should be measured. Is it in the normal state, is it in the proper state, or it should be improved, okay. So when trying to maximize the performance, it is important to determine the athlete's ability in individual aspects of the performance, okay. So performance is not just about one component, it is about the whole components together. So the athlete is trained for all the components so that he can perform well in one specific sports. So let us see what are the benefits. So benefits of fitness testing. First, the benefit is to identify the weaknesses and strength, because we need to identify weakness and strength. If the person is having strength in some component, we need to maintain it or we need to improve it, okay. And if a person is weak in some other component, we need to train that person to get an optimal performance. Now to monitor progress. Now in any athlete, if we are doing any fitness testing, we have to monitor the progress of the individual or the athlete, okay, to provide incentives, that is for sportsmen, and for talent identification. To identify if an individual is talented, we need to do the physical fitness, who is able to perform well, and all the components, that is physical as well as the health related, skill related and health related. If they are fine, then for health, for talent identification. Okay, now the classification. This is main. We need to understand about the classification, that is health related fitness and then skill related fitness. These are the components which we are to be covered in this session, okay. So first is cardiovascular endurance, okay. Then in health related, it is muscular endurance, flexibility, strength and body composition. In skill related, there is power, speed, agility, balance, coordination and reaction time. This, students, you need to understand and you need to write this in the flow chart so that in exam it will be very easy for you to remember. So let us study, let us learn about this in detail. Okay, so first, that is health related fitness. So what is health related fitness? It is the health related fitness focus mainly on the optimum health of individual. It focus on the optimum health of individual, that is the perfect health of an individual, okay. It is important for the prevention and remediation of disease and illness, leading to a better quality of life. Okay, health related fitness is very important for each individual, which leads to a better quality of life. Okay, then the third one, the components of health fitness are general as they apply to everybody. Okay, skill related components are different and health related are different. So health related are applied to all the individuals. So next we will see. Now health related physical fitness components. All the components we will see the definition, what it implies. So the cardiorespiratory endurance, the ability of the circulatory and respiratory system to supply oxygen during sustained physical activity. Physical activity are done every day for many such reasons, and the ability of circulatory as well as the respiratory systems to supply oxygen normally for sustained physical activity is called as cardiorespiratory endurance. Okay, so we have so many tests to assess the cardiorespiratory endurance. We will see in the coming slides. So second is body composition. What is body composition? The relative amount of muscle, fat, bones and other vital parts of the body. This all together comprise of, we call it as body composition. Okay. Now the third one, that is muscular strength. Now what is muscular strength? The ability of muscle to exert the force, okay, in a direction where the movement is required. Okay. So what is muscular endurance? The ability of the muscle to continue to perform without fatigue. Students, you should not get confused between muscular strength and endurance. Strength is the ability of muscle to exert the force to do a particular movement. But the endurance is the ability to continue that movement for a prolonged period of time without fatigue. Okay. So the next one is flexibility, which is the range of motion available at a joint. As all of us know, what is the normal range for all the joints? So the range of motion available at a joint is called as flexibility. It should be full range. Then you can call a person is a flexible. And we see flexibility in the athletes or sports people who do exercise regularly and stretching regularly. So next, okay, coming to the first component of health related physical fitness, that is cardiovascular endurance. Okay, what it is? The ability of body to perform prolonged large muscle dynamic exercise at a moderate to high levels of intensity. As you know, there is low level, there is moderate level, and there is high level. So what is cardiovascular endurance? The ability of the body to perform prolonged large muscle dynamic exercise at moderate and high intensity. So a person will start with the moderate intensity and go ahead with the high intensity. Okay. So it is important component of many sporting activities. As sporting activities require long period of time, so the individuals will have a proper cardiovascular endurance. Okay. The criterion test for aerobic fitness is maximum oxygen uptake, also called as VO2 max test. Okay. So the test for aerobic fitness can be divided into either maximal or submaximal. Now you will ask me, what is maximal and submaximal? So maximal is the physical fitness test where you ask the patient to do a kind of activity till the patient gets fatigued. Okay, there is no specific amount of time required for doing any activity. But in submaximal test, you already provide that in 6 minutes you are supposed to perform this. So that is called as submaximal. In maximal, patient performs till the patient gets tired, and in submaximal, you give a specific time period to perform and you assess the patient. Okay. Now, in cardiorespiratory endurance, you have Bruce treadmill test. That comes under maximal test. Now this is performed in the laboratory setting, okay, because the treadmills are kept in the laboratory and the patient is performed along the performing on the treadmill. The patient is monitored continuously. Okay, so the monitoring is done before the testing is done, during the testing, and after the testing as well. So let's learn what this test means. Okay, so the aim of this test is to evaluate cardiac function, okay, and the fitness. So the Bruce treadmill test is done to evaluate the cardiac function and the fitness. Okay. So the equipment which are required to perform this test are treadmill, stopwatch, a 12-lead electrocardiograph, that is ECG, machine with sticky electrodes, then the clips, leads, stethoscope, and sphygmomanometer and pulse oximeter. As you have saw this equipment required, you understand what we are going to see. From pulse oximeter, we will monitor SpO2, sphygmomanometer, BP will check, okay, and ECG readings, as well as the time required for a patient to complete the task. Then the advantage. There is some advantage and disadvantage for the test. So let us know about the advantage. So the maximum heart rate obtained can be used in training programs to set intensity. So what happens in this test? Whatever the maximum heart rate a person achieves, that is used for training purpose later on. Okay. So what is the disadvantage? Relatively large time and cost required. Specialist training is required to interpret the exercise ECG traces. In this, what happens? There is cost required because the treadmill is very expensive, and to perform this test, specialist is required as well as to interpret the result as well. Okay. So how to estimate VO2 max, maximum oxygen intake? That is, there is a formula that is for men different formula and female different formula. Okay. So what this indicates, the T indicates is the time required to cover a particular distance. That is, T is the total time of the test expressed in minute and fractions of minute. So there is separate formula for men as well as women. So what is for male is VO2 max is equal to 14.8 minus 1.379. These are numbers are all constant. Only you have to substitute the time required for an individual or a patient to cover the distance. That is time. This is time 2 and time 3. These are the constant values in men. Now in the women, that is VO2 max is equal to 4.38 multiplied by the time required and then minus 3.9. These are the equations which are used to take out the value of VO2 max. Okay. So these are the stages. That is, the assistant starts the stopwatch once the testing is started, and the test stops when the athlete is unable to continue. The athlete starts the testing and the stopwatch starts. The stopwatch is begin till the athlete is unable to continue. The stopwatch can be stopped. Okay. this ideally should be between 9 to 15 minutes. That is, there is stage 1 and stage 10. Okay, so in our first stage what happens? There is 0, there is no timing has started. Kilometer per hour is 2.74 and slope, that is gradation, is just 10%. Okay, so what happens during the next stages? The slope, that is gradation, will increase by 2%. Okay, and the kilometer, that is the speed, also will gradually increase, and the time also will gradually increase in the multiplication of 3. That is on second stage 3, and this much will be the speed, and this will be the gradient. So everything is gradually increasing, and we have to see if the athlete can perform in this condition. Okay, now the treadmill test which we have just now saw was a laboratory test. Okay, so now next test is 6-minute walk test, which can be in a laboratory, that is in a hospital, or it can be on the field as well. Okay, so this is called as sub-maximal test. Why? Because the time is already set, that is 6 minutes. So what we are supposed to do for the 6 minutes, we have to just assess how much distance a patient can cover. So let's see in detail. So the aim of 6-minute walk test. Okay, so the aim, it is to assess the cardiorespiratory fitness and endurance. Okay, so equipment required: measuring tape to mark out the track distances, stopwatch, chair position for resting, sphygmomanometer, and stethoscope, pulse oximeter. Okay, these are the equipments which are required. So in 6-minute walk test, what happens? There are 2 cones required to be placed in a straight line. That is, it will be a walkway. Okay, so what you have to do? Just measure 30 meters, place the 2 cones, and then instruct the patient to walk to and fro to the cone. Okay, till 6 minutes, and you have to measure the distance, how much patient was able to walk. Okay, and you have to monitor the heart rate as well as blood pressure and the SpO2 of the patient before and after. Okay, so while doing the 6-minute walk test, we have to encourage a patient, because patient will not know what is the time and how to go ahead. So we have to encourage the patient. So once 1 minute is done, we have to tell the patient you are doing a good job. So once 2 minutes is over, that is 4 minutes are remaining, we have to tell patient to go on. Okay, when 3 minutes are done, we have to tell the patient you are halfway done, you are halfway to be finished. Okay, then after 4 minutes, when 2 minutes are remaining, you have to tell the patient you are doing a good job, only 2 minutes are left. Like that, for 1 minute also, you have to tell a patient that you are doing a good job, just 1 minute, last 1 minute has left. In last 15 seconds, that is when 5 minutes and 45 seconds are over and 15 seconds are remaining, that time what you have to instruct the patient is, you have to tell the patient within 15 seconds I will tell you to stop. The patient has to stop wherever he is. So if he requires rest or something, we can provide him a chair. Okay, so the patient, while saying suddenly stop, the patient might get disturbed or confused, so we have to instruct beforehand. Okay, understood? This is a very easy 6-minute walk test. This we can implement in hospital as well as in the field test. Okay, so what are the advantage and disadvantage? Okay, can you see the walkway here? The distance is already predetermined, that is 30 meters. Okay, so what is the advantage? Let's see the advantage and disadvantage. The advantage is minimal equipment and cost is involved. In this, there is minimal equipment, that is only 2 cones are required and there is stopwatch required, that's it. And then for monitoring, we need pulse oximetry, sphygmomanometer. Okay, in disadvantage, this test is too easy for the highly fit person. For the highly fit person, 6 minutes can be nothing. The person can be able to walk 6 minutes very easily. So there is disadvantage as well as advantage. So before you prescribe any patient for doing a exercise tolerance test of 6-minute walk test, you have to assess the patient if patient is able to do or not. If the patient is highly fit patient, then you have to go ahead with some another test. If the patient is able to, you feel it is able to do for 6 minutes, he can do. Okay. So the next one. Now muscle strength. As we just now we are finished with the cardiorespiratory endurance. Now muscle strength. Okay, what is muscle strength? Muscular strength is the maximal force that can be generated by a specific muscle or specific group of muscle. Okay, that is a maximal force generated to produce a movement. Okay, the measurement of muscle force production is used for following. Why is it used? It is used to assess the muscular fitness. Okay, muscular fitness of a person, to identify the weakness, to monitor and progress, to monitor the progress in any kind of rehabilitation going on, and to measure effectiveness of the training. So this muscle strength is very important to measure. for the physical fitness. Now we'll see some tests related to the muscle strength. Okay, so the first is hand grip strength test. That is hand grip strength test. You can see the dynamometer over here. So let's see what is the aim of the test. To measure the maximum isometric strength. Okay, maximum isometric strength. Equipment required is hand grip dynamometer. It looks just like this. We have to instruct the patient to hold it, to hold the handle and press. Okay, the measurements will come here. Okay, so you have to see how much patient is able to do. You can do this pre and post as well. When a patient comes to you for the first time, you can assess with the handheld dynamometer, and after a week or two, weeks of treatment, you can again do the same test and see the improvement. So this is the beneficial part. Okay, so now advantage. What is the advantage in this? Simple and commonly used test of general strength level. As it is said, when we have a good strength in our hand, overall strength can be assessed by this. So it is very important test. Okay, so the disadvantages needs to be adjusted for hand size, which affects the accuracy of measurement. If the hand size is not accurate, the assessment can be inaccurate. Okay, so that is one disadvantage. And advantage is it is simple and commonly used. Once you instruct a patient to do it, patient will be able to do it very easily. It is not confusing. Okay, so that is hand grip strength test. Okay, then we have results as well. So for the male it is different and for the female it is different. Okay, so there are types, that is, it can be excellent, above average, average, below average and poor. So let us see for the male how much it is. For the male, it is for excellent will be more than 56. For above average, it is in the range of 51 to 56. For average, it is 45 to 50. It is very easy to remember as it is only 5 intervals. Okay. So for the below average, it is 39 to 44. And for poor, it is less than 39. So you have to identify in what category your patient fits in. Okay, so next is female. In female, as it is considered that the hand strength might be less than the men's, so excellent will be more than 36, above average will be 31 to 36. Same here also 5, interval of 5. Okay, then in average it is 25 to 30. In below average it is 19 to 24 and poor is below 19. So we have to see if for example female patient has come to you and you are doing this test. On the day 1 the patient was below average, that the score was from 19 to 24 and you have given strengthening exercise, you have given all other kinds of exercises and the patient has reached 31 to 36. Okay, which indicates that your treatment is going right and you are doing a good job and you have to continue with the treatment. Okay. So let's see the next test. Okay, this is core muscle strength test. Core muscle. Okay, we know where is the core muscle. The strength test. Aim of the test. We'll see. To monitor the development of athlete's core strength, which is very important. The requirement is just this flat surface, an assistant, a mat, and watch. There is no much expensive requirement in this. The flat surface is required. So in this test, what is expected is, we tell a patient to do a normal plank. Okay, after doing a normal plank, we ask the patient, after doing a plank for like 30 seconds, we ask the patient to lift one hand, that is left hand. Okay, and once the patient is able to lift one hand and still maintain the balance, we tell the patient to lift the opposite leg. As you can see in this image, the female is able to lift the hand and the opposite leg together and still maintain the position. She is not swaying, nothing. She is in a proper position. So this is one thing. So once she is able to do this, this will again come back to the floor. This she will take it back. Now next what will happen? The leg which was resting on the floor, she will take that leg up as well as the hand which was resting, the forehand that will come up. Okay, that is opposite side will work. That time also if the patient is able to maintain without any swaying or something, the patient will be having a good core muscle strength. Okay, that is how you identify. So a patient or an individual who is able to do a plank for 30 seconds, then is able to lift the one hand, then is able to maintain the lifted hand as well as the opposite leg. And if the patient is able to do that, tell the patient to come in neutral position, that is in plank position, and then do in opposite side. If the patient is able to complete this whole cycle of plank and doing the opposite elevations of the limbs, upper as well as lower, the patient has a good core muscle strength. It can be done for a patient as well tackling. Okay. So next test, that is for muscle strength, that is isokinetic dynamometry test. Okay, what it is, let's see. It is considered the gold standard method performed in the lab conditions. It is performed in the lab. It is based on the realization of specific movements with an established load at a constant speed. Okay. So advantage, it is safe analysis of muscle force. It is mainly used for the distal extremities, that is for the elbow or for the knee. Okay. So what will happen? It will move according to the patient's ability to move. It will help the patient. Okay. Or the individual. Now the third thing, which is about the health related physical fitness, that is muscular endurance. As we have saw about the cardiorespiratory endurance, along with that muscular endurance is also very important. So let us see what is muscular endurance. So muscular endurance is the ability of a muscle group to execute repeated contractions. Only doing a single contraction is not the muscle endurance. Okay, the patient or the individual has to repeat the contractions over a period of time sufficient to cause muscle fatigue. Until and unless the individual does not feel the fatigue, the patient has to, or the individual has to repeat the movement. So repetition of movement until the fatigue, until the patient feels the fatigue. Okay, or to maintain a specific percentage of maximum voluntary contraction for a prolonged period of time. Muscular endurance, in easy words I can tell you that doing a particular movement repeatedly until we get tired is called as muscular endurance. Understood, students? Okay, so in muscular endurance now we have specific tests for that. Let us learn about it. Okay, so the first test is bent arm hang test. Okay, when you can see in this image, female is doing bent arm hang test. Okay, so let us know about the aim. What is the aim of this? To measure upper body endurance by timing how long they can hang with the chin above the bar. Okay, this is to measure the upper body endurance. Okay, it's nothing to do with the lower body. The upper body endurance is assessed by this test. Okay, and the equipment required is stopwatch, that is for how to check how long the patient can able to hold this position. Then horizontal overhead bar, which is seen in this. Okay, you can see here, this is horizontal bar which is used for doing this test. Then at an adequate height and stool, that is according to individual's height, it should be able to be set. Okay, then the advantages. Advantages, equipment easily available, easy and quick to perform. Once you demonstrate this to an individual or your patient, they will be able to perform very easily. Okay, that is the advantage. And then what is the disadvantage? Body weight affects the test result. Okay, now what is happening in this test is a patient or individual, they have been hooked to they are holding it, okay, holding the overhead bar, and they have to do the chin up, that is above this bar. Okay, they have to take the head off. Okay, and they can hold it this way as well as this way, that is palm facing towards them as well as palms facing opposite to them. Okay, these are the two ways which they can hold the bar. Then in this what happens, the therapist or anyone can just hold the patient and grab the patient or individual and help them to take it, so that the energy is required to do this, to do the pull up will be easy. Okay, now push-up test. Okay, now push-up test also comes in the muscular endurance. So what is happening in this test is push-up test. Okay, there are few variations for it as well. So the aim to assess the athlete's upper body endurance. Okay, even the other test which previously we have shown, this test also, it also assess the upper body endurance, and this also assess the upper body endurance. Okay, so the equipment required are flat surface. As we cannot see a surface here, but let's consider this as a flat surface. The patient is able to do it. Flat surface or mat and mat, stopwatch, wall chair. Okay, these are the equipments which are required to do the push-up test. Now types. There are three types of push-up test which we are shown in the image. Okay, so we will learn about it. Now chair push-up test. Now chair push-up test is this one. Okay, then full body push-up test. This is full body push-up test, and the modified push-up test is this. Okay, understandable? So in this the patient is doing a plank, and then the patient is doing the push-ups. That is, first he is bending his elbow to 90 degrees, okay, and then he is extending the elbow. So that is called as the push-up test. That is full body push-up test. Now we will see chair push-up test. In this what happens? Only everything is same, the procedure is same, only the modification is the chair is added. Instead of plank on the flat surface, the chair is added, and the individual or person rests the hands on the chair and perform the movement. Okay, that is perform the test, push-up test. Now in this what happens? It is a modified push-up test. In this the lower limb is supported and the upper limb endurance is checked with the push-up test. Okay, there is one more test which we can do in push-up test. It is mainly for the females. What they do is, while doing the plank, they cross both the legs and they touch both the knees to the ground. So only the upper body needs to be stabilized. The lower body is already stabilized on the floor. Okay, that is mainly used for the females. Now let's see about the component of this. This is flexibility, health related component. Okay. So the ability to move a joint through its full range of motion. So we know full range of motion is very important to have a proper flexibility. Okay. So any injury or anything else can hamper this ability. Okay. So what it is? Now first test we'll see. Sit and reach flexibility test. As you can see in the image, a female is sitting, okay, and trying to reach her hand how much ever she is able to. Let us now learn what is the aim of it. To measure the flexibility of lower back, how much she is able to arch it, okay, and hamstring muscle, also the hamstring muscle. As students, we know that many of the normal individuals who are not doing exercise regularly and all have tight hamstring muscle. So while doing this, we can identify the hamstring muscle as well as lower back flexibility. Okay, so now let's just know about the advantages. What are the advantages? It is easy and quick test to perform. Okay, this does not need so much equipment to do. You have to just inform the patient to sit in a high setting. Okay, once the patient is sitting like this, then you tell, grab your both hand one above another and bend. How much ever the patient is able to bend, there is one box which will able to monitor or measure how much length the patient is able to do. Okay, so what is the advantage? It is easy and quick, as we have read now. And then there is disadvantage as well. Every test has advantage as well as disadvantage, right? So what is disadvantage? Variations in arm. Arms can be done in the variations. Leg and trunk length can make comparisons between individuals misleading. The comparison can become misleading due to the variations in arm, leg and trunk length. The length can vary in person to person, right? So this test is specific to the range of motion and muscles and joints of the lower back and hamstring and may not be relevant to other part of the body. Understood? So this test is only relevant to what? Lower back, hamstring, okay, and the joints. Range of motion and muscle and joints. Range of motion and muscles and joints of the lower back and hamstring. Only it is acting on hamstring and lower back. Okay. What it is acting? About the range of motion of this and muscles and joints relating to this area. Okay. So then the individual will just stretch the arm and bend the back. And we have to measure how much the individual is able to do and is individual flexible or not. Okay. So next is back scratch test. So back scratch test, as you see in the image, it is very easy to perform or to instruct the patient to do it. So what is the aim of this? Is to measure the general range of motion of the shoulder joint. It is to measure the general range of motion of both the shoulder type joint at a time. Okay? Now what equipments are required? Ruler or a yardstick. Now a ruler is required, or inch tape also can be, to measure the distance between the two fingers. Okay? From here, the finger of other hand to this finger. The distance between this is measured in this test. Okay? So the advantage, minimal equipment required. As we in our clinic or everywhere, we can have a ruler or inch tape which is available anytime. Okay? So we can do this test. In this, you ask the patient to perform, that is to take the hands back of the back, okay, both sides, one hand from above and one hand from below. That is this way. Okay, can you see, students? So you have to measure from the upper finger to the lower finger, and the distance you have to know. For example, this is a patient with some shoulder dysfunction. Okay, some diagnosis we have not yet done. So we are assessing a patient. We have did this back scratch test, and there is some measurement to this. Okay, so for example, it is 5 centimeter. Let's guess. Okay. Now, if this is 5 centimeter and you have started a treatment, and after 2 to 3 weeks or 1 week, you want to assess the patient again, and you do the retest. Okay, same back scratch test, and from 5 centimeter it has reduced to 2 centimeter. Okay, that means whatever treatment you are giving is working. Okay, the patient is able to do the back scratch test easily. That is positive test. Now till now what we have saw is health related physical fitness. Okay, cardiorespiratory endurance. Second was, let us go back and revise once again. Okay, we have some cardiovascular endurance, we have some muscular endurance. Okay, we have some what is flexibility, muscular strength, and body composition. As students, you all know body composition considers of height, weight, BMI. Okay, the girth measurements. Okay, skin fold measurements, and so on. Okay, so this body composition, it's a different topic, we will see in another session. Okay, but till now this everything you need to understand and know all the tests, how to perform it. Okay, now let us start with the skill related fitness test. Now, skill or performance related fitness involves skill that will enhance one performance. In this, what happens? Skill is required to do any kind of performance in athletic or sports event. This is mostly identified or indicated towards the sports person, as the skill is required to perform a particular sports. Okay, so what are the components in this? The power, the speed, the agility, the balance, coordination, and reaction time. Okay, these components are very necessary, and it is skill related. Okay, so we need to know what is power, what is speed, what is agility, balance, coordination, and reaction time. Okay, we'll discuss this in detail. Now, what is skill related physical fitness? Okay, in that first is we saw agility. Okay, now what is agility? It is the ability to change the position of the body in space. Change the position in space with speed and accuracy. In sports, this agility is very much required. So sports athletes are treated or are trained for agility. Okay, to improve the agility. It is the ability to change the position of the body in space with speed and accuracy. Okay, you understood? Now let's go to the coordination. Okay, the ability to use the senses such as sight and hearing together. Senses are used together with body parts in performing tasks smoothly and accurately. While doing a movement, only muscles or joints are not required. Along with that, the senses are also required to do a well coordinated movement. Okay. So next, coming to balance. The maintenance of equilibrium while stationary or moving. Maintaining the equilibrium is very important when we are in stationary. That means when we are sitting, standing, okay, or doing any just staying in one position. That is stationary. Okay, you have to check the patient if they are moving, swaying in some other way, or rocking. That is the balance can be affected in that people. Okay, so this is moving. That is dynamic. While walking and all, how the balance is maintained. As we walk every day, our balance is maintained because of COG. Now next is power. What is power? It is the ability or rate at which one can perform work. It is the ability or rate at which one can perform a work. Okay. Now the reaction time. It is the time between the stimulation and the beginning of reaction to it. As we receive a stimulation, how much time is required between the stimulation and initiation of movement? That is called as reaction time. A well-alert person will react very fast. Okay, a drowsy person will not react that fast. So that will be the difference in the reaction time. Okay. Now the next one is speed. The ability to perform a movement within a short period of time. Ability to perform a specific movement within short period of that means the speed is measured according when we are able to complete the movement within short period of time, it is called as speed. Okay, now let us look into it individually. Now first is power. Okay, the ability to transfer energy into force at fastest rate. Okay, seen in sports such as shot put and badminton, where a sports player is required to deliver a certain shot in a sudden movement. Okay, now this seated medicine ball throw. Okay, you can see in the image. You can see in the image a person is sitting, individual is sitting with ball in the hand, and you have to just instruct the individual to take the ball and throw. That is, sudden thrust will be there, sudden movement will be there. So what is the aim of seated medicine ball throw? Let us learn. This test measures upper body arm strength and explosive power. Okay, he is using his upper body, so upper body strength is required as well as the explosive power, so that he can perform a movement at a time. Okay, in 1 second. Now, what the equipment required is 4 kg medicine ball, which you can see in the image. Okay, medicine ball. The patient is sitting towards the ball and tape. Okay. Now, advantages: easy and quick to perform. It is very easy and quick to perform for an athlete. Only the medicine ball is required. Okay. Now, disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? Several people are needed, and it is time consuming. Several people are needed. Wherever the individual throws the ball, several people are needed to get it back to him and perform this test. Okay. Now vertical jump test. Okay. How it is performed? Now the aim is to measure the leg muscle power. They have to measure the lower limb muscle power. Okay. The equipment required is measuring tape or marked wall, chalk for marking wall. The equipment is tape and chalk. Okay. Now, the advantage, it is simple and quick to perform. So, how it is performed? Individual is standing vertically towards the wall, leaning towards the wall and raising the hand, okay, in full range of motion. And with the help of chalk, we have to mark the distance, okay, and then we instruct the patient to jump as high as possible. The chalk is kept in between the 2 fingers, so that when they are jumping, they can able to mark it. So we will give 3 chances to the individual. Whichever mark will be the highest one, we have to measure that one and the before. The patient was just standing, that is on the ground without any shoes. Okay, so that distance between that will identify the vertical jump test. Now these are the normal rating between the male and female in centimeters. Okay, so the excellent will be more than 70 centimeter in male. Very good will be 61 to 70. That is 10-10 ka range it will be. Okay, and above average will be 51 to 60. Average will be 41 to 50. Below average will be 31 to 40. And poor will be 21 to 30. And very poor will be less than 21. Accordingly for female as well. But female from 60 to 11. Okay, only 10 difference is there. So we have to identify when we ask the patient or individual to do this vertical jump test. You measure the centimeter between the initial and the later on, and then you have to see what distance the patient or individual has covered and identify the rating according to excellent, very good, average or poor. Okay. So next one is speed. Okay, the ability to perform a movement or cover a distance in a short period of time. Speed requires ability to perform a movement or cover within a short period of time. Seen in sprinters, tennis players and swimmers. Okay, now sprint or speed test. Now what happens in this? The purpose of this test is to determine acceleration, maximum running speed and speed endurance depending on the distance run. So in sprint or speed test, it can be 10 meter running test, it can be 20, it can be 40 to 50. Okay. So equipment required are measuring tape to measure how much distance the individual has ran or did the performance, or marked track, which you can see here. There is a track where a patient or individual can perform. Then the stopwatch is required in how much time the individual was able to complete the distance, or timing gates and cone markers. Cone markers, so that the individual will have an identifier or feedback from where he needs to do the run. Okay. So what happens in this? The individual runs for some distance, that is 0 to 50 meter distance. The individual runs. There is acceleration. the individual is in the acceleration phase. So first 10 meters can be considered as an acceleration. Okay, then if it total is 50-meter run, then first 10 is acceleration, then the remaining 40 is maximum running speed. So minimum 40 meter you can identify what is the maximum speed of an individual. Okay. Now the agility, which is very important. Agility is the ability to move quickly and change directions. Agility is able to move quickly, and change direction while maintaining control and balance. Okay. So good agility requires a combination of speed, balance, power and coordination. Okay. Agility requires all these combinations. So the individual should be trained for all this, that is speed, balance, power and coordination. Okay. Seen in sports such as skiing, wrestling and soccer. Okay. So these are the things which we are supposed to see in the agility. Now there are few tests for agility. Few tests for Iliopoulos agility test. In this test what happens? The aim is to test running agility using various turns and movements. As you can see in this figure. Okay. So the equipment required is flat, non-slip surface. The individual should not slip and fall. The marking cones that you can see in this image, there are marking cones, so that the individual can get a feedback to what he is supposed to perform. Okay, and then the stopwatch, the time required to complete the test, and measuring tape. Okay, the advantages now we'll see. Simple to administer. It is very simple to administer. We have to just instruct the patient to do things and require minimal equipment. Okay, only cones are required and stopwatch and inch tape is required. Okay, the player's ability to turn in different direction at different angles. Now in this image you can see clearly the patient is supposed to start from here. The sports person is supposed to start from here. He runs like this. He will take a turn over here and change the position very quickly. So for performing this, the sports person requires speed, coordination, balance. Okay, so all these things together will help the individual to perform this test. Okay, now box drill test. Now what is the aim of this? The test to test the agility including speed, quickness, flexibility, change of direction and body control. So all these components together will help an individual to complete this test. Now what are the equipments required? That is stopwatch. It is required in all the tests, as we need to measure how much time is required for completing a performance. Then measuring tape, then 4 marker cones that you can see, 4 cones are here. Okay, and a flat non-slip surface. So what happens is the 4 cones are kept few distance from one another in a square manner. Okay, so the individual or the sports person is asked to start from one cone which is placed number 1 and has to go to the cone 2, has to shuffle and go to cone 3 and then cone 4 and again to the finish line, that is from where he started. So the ability to move in different directions with all the components together in this, it assesses the agility of a sports person. Okay, that is box drill. Now balance. Okay, so the maintenance of equilibrium while stationary or moving. Balance, it is the maintenance of equilibrium while stationary or moving. We have already saw this in previous slides, so you know what is balance, right? So it can be assessed in stationary, that is static position, as well as in dynamic position. Okay, now seen in activities such as balance beam and skating. So these are some performance or some sports activities where it can be seen. Now test for balance. Okay, now start excursion balance test. Now what is the aim of this? It is to measure the dynamic balance of patient. Dynamic means what? The patient has to, the individual has to perform a balance test when he is moving. Okay, so that is he maintaining the balance or is he feeling swaying or is he going to fall down? We have to assess in this test. Okay, so equipment required is sticky tape. As you can see, here sticky tapes are sticked on the floor. Then measuring tape and performance recording sheet. Now in this what happens? The sticky tape is used on the floor. Okay. Then first in this position, that is plus position, and then in the X, that is 4 sticky tapes are required of same measurement. For example, you see it is kept first in a plus position. Okay, one sticky tape is sticked over here, the second is over here. Now the third and fourth is in the X form. So that is star excursion test. Understood? You have to just do this. Okay, and then ask the patient to stand here. Okay, and then to perform on all the lines. And you have to see while performing, like he has to keep one leg on this center and the other leg has to touch all the tapes. So we have to see if the patient is able to do it or if patient is moving, all that. Okay. So now there are few more things which we are able to see, but we'll see that in the next lecture. Okay. So if you have any doubts about this, you can keep your write down whatever doubt you have. You write down your questions. In next lecture, we will complete this session as well as I'll answer your questions. Okay. Everybody understood? Students? Okay. Thank you.